Andor is a Star Wars television show that acts as a prequel to the original movie trilogy and serves as the origin story for the most successful rebel spy, Cassian Andor. Personally, I have to say that I feel very validated that a show has garnered such acclaim from those who have actually seen it, as I've always maintained that Rogue One, the movie where Cassian was first introduced, was the best Star Wars movie, in major part due to the fact that it addresses a big missed point of potential for the franchise up until now, how actual wars play out. I'm incredibly happy that this ethos of capturing what war actually feels like continues on in the show starring Cassian as well. No longer does the epicness the franchise is known for come from invocation of magic or harkening back to old myths, but rather from the fact that actions of ordinary people is shaping the fate of whole nations and planets. And I think that the biggest tell that this is the case comes from the fact that one can so easily apply the concepts found in the ancient Chinese essay 36 Stratagems by Wang Jingze to the series. In the show, military strategy and political maneuvering play a significant role, as the Rebel Alliance is engaged in war against the Galactic Empire, while the British and US Empire-modeled government intelligence service known as the ISB seeks to stop them. The Rebel Alliance must employ tactics that are both strategic and covert in nature in order to defeat the powerful and well-equipped Empire, and the Empire in turn has to manage bloat and a lack of ideological motivation that keeps it negligent. Throughout the show, both the Empire and Rebel Alliance face numerous challenges that see them adapt their tactics in response to changing circumstances, both utilizing the exact same tactics found in 36 Stratagems, if at different times and even occasionally suffering defeat due to not implementing these stratagems. Dealing with the enemy stratagems. Sacrifice the plum tree to preserve the peach tree. I first noticed all this when both the leader of the Rebel spy network, Luthen Rael, decided to sacrifice members of the Alliance to an ISB trap, so that they didn't realize they had a plant within their midst. This strategy of someone else suffering the consequences so that the rest do not, seems to be the key methodology Luthen subscribes to, informing every aspect of his plans we see him commit to in the show. From the heist being used to provoke an overdramatic response from the government, which will in turn fan the flames of discontent, to the way he kills anybody he can't absolutely trust, who knows his face, burning his life for a sunrise he and those he sacrifices will never see, as he puts it. But just like how you can't sacrifice all the plums in the world for peach trees, lest you miss out on that rare vitamin K, occasionally Luthen makes an exception, as he does when he takes an Andor rather than killing him, despite the risk. Hide a knife behind a smile. This is Cassian's own primary methodology at the beginning of the series. Often he is said to have borrowed money from friends without paying them back in a timely fashion, and with the Empire specifically, he would take advantage of their negligence to steal from them simply by pretending he belonged there. Taking advantage of the Empire's lackadaisical nature, in more ways than just pilfering from them, is Cassian's primary arc throughout the season, along with learning that one shouldn't deal with one's allies the same way one approaches one's enemies. And while this is just speculation, I also imagine given his reputation as a ladies' man, he will also be using this method to gain information from high-ranking female Imperial officers in Season 2, James Bond style. More than with Cassian, however, this is the primary stratagem of Mon Mothma in the show. Her whole role and what she struggles with the most throughout the season is making it seem like she's up to nothing particularly egregious, when in actual fact she is the primary funder of the whole rebellion. Indeed, I'm lucky enough that the showrunners particularly spell it out word for word, as she says in a speech to her good friend Tay Kolma as she pulls him into her schemes.
I know they watch me, and I want that, because as long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
Raising money.
While she struggles with the financial aspect of her plans, since it's hard to conceal hard numbers, leading to her having to marry off her daughter for money, when it comes to the interpersonal side of her stratagem, she is as of yet without compare in the Star Wars universe, with the exception, as she pointed out herself, of Palpatine. Offensive stratagems. The Aldhani raid arc. Borrow a corpse to resurrect the soul. Both Karis and Cassian's father Clem use this exact principle in regards to utilizing the older, cheaper technology that the Empire would rather have ordinary people forget about, due to the fact that it is both harder to control and more difficult for the Empire to profit off of. Indeed, the thematic relevance of Cassian taking on his father's name while on his first big mission against the Empire with Nemik is not lost on the keen viewer. Not only did the Aldhani raid arc succeed because of old navigation technology, but also primarily because of the old institution of spectating the Eye of Aldhani every 3 years. Their teammate Taramyn Barcona was also vital to the mission's success, as he was able to use his old stormtrooper training in order to get the team inside the garrison to rob it in the first place. And of course, we can't forget the final battle in the season, the uprising on Ferrix, for it contains the most comedic example of this, turning Marva's ashes into a stone brick, which is in turn used to beat on a fascist. Defeat the enemy by capturing their chief. This method is used by the rebels against the Empire both in the Aldani heist and in the prison break on Narkina 5. In both cases, the enemy chief held the power to allow them to escape and recruit even more help. And in the heist specifically, the commander is allied to the Empire solely for money, so it's easy to get him to surrender. However, as is warned in the 36 Stratagems essay, once the commander died, they were caught in a firefight, resulting in the loss of almost all of the men on the rebel side. Still, the overall success of these ventures proves the viability of this strategy, and I speculate we will see it again in the next season on Andor. Deceive the heavens to cross the sea. The first stratagem in the first chapter of the essay is a call to mask one's real goals from those in authority who lack vision. This stratagem is at the heart of the entire rebellion, since time and time again it is shown that when given the choice, the Empire will take the easy path rather than the correct path. This in turn allows the rebellion to ultimately succeed, since instead of being deceived by a desire for profit or being halted by fear, the rebels are motivated by various powerful emotions that let them take intelligent action, even despite the odds. It is as Cassian says while in the prison on Narkina 5, nobody's listening. Not the Empire, not potential allies. At the time, not even people in the rebellion itself. But such inadvertent concealment proves to be a boon in the end. Elaborate plans are formulated without any interference from higher powers, and they're able to be executed in such a manner that even once others do start listening, they are either compelled to join, or it is too late for them to do anything to stop it. As we watch our main characters escape across the ocean with his fellow inmates towards freedom, literally crossing the sea through their deception of the understaffed prison industrial complex, we are reminded of why precisely military strategy is important. Moral virtue without cunning will not save, as Kino had to learn. But when one does realize that there is only one way out, cunning becomes a moral virtue in of itself. Overall, military strategy plays a crucial role in Andor, as the Rebel Alliance works to defeat the Galactic Empire and bring freedom to the galaxy. The show highlights the importance of strategy, planning, and adaptability in military operations, and the role individual leaders and grunts play in these efforts. In part 2, we examine how despite starting to pull themselves together in regards to their strategic thinking, by the end, the Empire failed to crush the rebellion before it spread.